In this video, we are going to create a basic random number guessing game in C programming language. Before we start writing the code, I have a flowchart. So let's go through it quickly. So we basically start in the main function. We generate a random number, and then we prompt the user, like I'm guessing of a number between 1 and 100. And then we access the user input. So we check if the guess is equal to the target. If it is yes, that is a success. And then we will end the program. If the guess is less than the target, we let the user know that it is too low and then accept another number. If it is greater, we let the user, the target is actually, the guess is actually greater than the target. So it basically runs inside a loop and ends when the user guess is matched with the target number. In the end, there will be 3 questions for you. So follow the program carefully. So first we need to generate a random number and store it inside an integer. So let me declare an integer here, and I'm going to call it as target number, the target number the user should guess. And to generate random numbers, we have the rand function in C language. And this function is actually defined inside the standard library. So let me include that. Oops. Now this function actually returns random integers between 0 and rand max, which is usually over 30k in most systems, the rand max. If you want, you can even print it. So, but we don't want that big numbers. We just want numbers between 1 and 100. So what we can do is just divide and take the remainder of that number. So this expression will always evaluate to 0 and 99. So we just have to add 1 to this expression. So this expression now will always evaluate to 1 and 100. So now we generated the random number. So we have to seed this random number. It's actually a pseudo random number generator. That means we need to seed it so we get different numbers every time. So there is a function to seed this random number. srand means seed that random number generator. So what we can do here is use the time function and pass in the null. What that means is just the time function returns the number of seconds passed since a fixed point in the past. That means this time will always be a different number when you call from your program in different seconds. It is actually defined inside the time header file. So let me include that. Now we have seeded the random number for the rand function. That means now we will get different numbers every time. Now we have to prompt the user to enter a number. Then we basically test the user input inside a loop. So let me do that. So I will say something like, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Maybe something like, can you guess? Now we have a target number and the prompt to the user. Now we have to scan that user input. So I'm going to do a while one loop, which is basically an infinite loop, but we will break inside that loop. So we test, first we scan the user input. To a variable, we need to declare 1. So let's declare user input. You can call it as user number or input number, anything you want. I'm going to call it as input number. And now we can scan our user input to that input number variable. And once we scan, we have to test if it is equal to the target number. So if the input number is equal to the target number, then that is a success message. So we're gonna print success and something like it's correct. But if the user input is actually less than the target, we have to let the user know it is less than the target and accept another input. Else if the user input is actually less than the target number, then we have to let the user know that it is too low. So your input is less than the target, so you have to guess something above that your input. So I will say above your input, or we can print that number like above %d, and we will say the input number. Let's say the target number is 20. If the user guesses 15, that means the input number is less than the target, so we will say above 15, so the user can guess greater than 15. Else, so if the input is not equal to the target number and also not less than, it will obviously greater than that number, so we have to say guess below that number. So I'm going to copy the print statement and say something like below your guess, below. And that's it. Let's run the program. Let me compile it and run the program. So it's asking, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Can you guess? Let's say it is 50. Below 50. Let's say 26. Below 26. 13. So we're basically getting these overlapped here. So we need to give a new line. Let's add new lines to these printfs. Let's compile the program again and run it again. Oops. So it's asking, guess the number between 1 and 100. Let's say 78. Below 78, 34. Below 34, 12. Below 12, 6. Oh my god, below 6, 2. About 2, and below 6, 4. Below 4, about 2, 3. Yes, it is correct. See, the program is not ending even if it says success, because we didn't break out of this when the input is actually matched with the target number. So let me break off the loop and return 0. Yeah, now everything is fine. Let's run it once again. Let me Control C. Compile again and run again. Let's say 45, above 45, and below 78. Above 65, below 78. Let's say 70. Above 65, below 70. 67. Above 67, 68. Success, it's correct. So yeah, that's it for this program. And I have, as I told earlier, we have 3 questions. So what do you think happens if the user enters a number less than 1 or greater than 100? So a target number is actually between 1 and 100, both inclusive. But what happens if the user input is less than 1 or greater than 100. Before you run in this program, think about it. And our second question is, what happens if the user types text like 5 instead of a number? So let me show you. So let's run the program again. Let's say the user enters something text like this. What do you think will happen? I'm not going to run the program. Just do it yourself. And the last question is, what's the maximum number of guesses someone needed to always guess a number between 1 and 100? And in this program's context, that means you will get a feedback, assuming you will get a feedback every time you guess something like below or above. All these questions regarding the in respect to our program's context. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comments below. And that's it pretty much about this video.